Hey guys, it's Coach Rebecca. Welcome back to the Good Clean Eats Test Kitchen. It's Test Kitchen Thursday. Thanks for coming back and joining me. Sorry for the small delay. We were having some technical problems over on Facebook, so we're just live on Instagram today, which I love anyhow. Hey Nicole, thanks for jumping on and joining me. As you guys jump on, as always, if you are watching live, drop me a 1 in the comments. If you're watching this on replay, drop me a 2. I can't wait though, because we are gonna cover all sorts of yummy recipes today, starting with one of my favorites, and that is a red velvet smoothie, you guys. It is delicious, protein packed. It's actually plant-based in my case, but you guys can make this with some mascarpone cheese as well, because I mean, what's a red velvet smoothie without, or red velvet anything for that matter, without some mascarpone cheese in it? So I'm gonna grab my Vitamix and we're gonna start with that. But we are also gonna make today a very new recipe for me. So I'm crossing my fingers that it's not a total fail. I have had this burger before, I just have not personally made it. I know it's delicious, so hopefully we can make it just the same and it's gonna taste just as good. And that is a beet black bean burger, you guys. It is so yummy, so I can't wait to try it out here in the test kitchen. I'm also gonna be making that, and I'm gonna be putting that beet burger when it's done on a mixed green salad. And so I figured if we're gonna use beets in our red velvet smoothie, we're gonna make it our burger with beets, we might as well make a dressing with beets as well. This is a whole beets day here in the kitchen. So we are actually gonna make a 5-minute beet vinaigrette as well to go on top of that salad a little bit later. But as we get going, let's start with the smoothie, because why not, right? So what you need for this smoothie is pretty simple. You're gonna use 100% cacao powder. You could also, I guess, if you don't have cacao powder at home or that cocoa powder at home, you could also use a chocolate protein shake combination. I'm using vanilla, and then I'm gonna add that cacao powder to it. And then you're also going to need your choice of plant-based milk. I'm gonna use Silk almond milk. You need, of course, a little bit of ice. Now, for those of you in the recipe that's posted on our website at goodcleaneats.com, this recipe calls for 1 tablespoon of mascarpone cheese. But because I'm dairy-free, I will be using tofu. If you didn't know, tofu is like the perfect replacement for Greek yogurt, for any type of soft cheese like cottage cheese, mascarpone cheese. In fact, I make a yummy vegan cream cheese with tofu as well. You guys got to check that recipe out. So I'm going to be using tofu as my replacement for that mascarpone. And then also you are going to need some balsamic vinegar. I know it sounds weird, but again, if you've ever made a red velvet cake before, you know that balsamic is one of the core ingredients. So we're just going to put all of those ingredients here into my smoothie. Now, again, I'm gonna put my milk in right away into the bottom of my smoothie. I'm gonna use 8 ounces of almond milk. So boom, perfect. I'm gonna use 1 packet of my vegan choice of protein shake, because it's got all of my vitamins in it as well. It's not just protein. I'm gonna put 1 packet of that protein powder into there. You're gonna get 1 tablespoon of 100% dark cacao powder. Again, I use this because it doesn't have any additional sweeteners in it, so no added sugar in it. It's completely dark chocolate. It also does not have any dairy in it, so that works for this dairy-free girl. So we've got that in there. Oh, and did I forget? That's right, you guys. Of course, this shake has beets in it. So beets are gonna be our vegetable of choice going into this smoothie. It's gonna give you that red and dark chocolate look that you get out of a red velvet cake. Now, I took about 1/2 of a small beet and I just cooked it up a little bit. So I just quartered it and then I cooked it up. I'm gonna pour that into our blender as well. And then last but not least, we need to add the ice, and our tofu. So again, with the tofu, this is probably a little bit bigger block than I would normally use, but we're just gonna use about a couple ounces of that tofu. And then ice. Again, I just used my glass that I'm gonna be serving my smoothie in. You guys, just like that, we've got beets, cacao powder, protein powder in there. We've got my tofu, so that's gonna add even more protein, but the tofu is also gonna add that creaminess that we're looking for that we would normally get from that mascarpone cheese. And then last but not least, we're just gonna put a dash of balsamic, I'm gonna put a little bit more, of balsamic vinegar in there. And now we just need to blend this up and enjoy. You guys, this is a really good one. It tends to be a really popular one with our Good Clean Eats clients. We typically, again, put all the ingredients besides the milk into an air-sealed container. I seal it up, get all the air out. They can take them, throw them in their freezer, and whenever they're ready to make one, they just take it out. All the ingredients are there. They empty it into their mixer with their choice of milk, and they can blend it up and have a smoothie ready to go. So we're gonna do a smoothie session, I think maybe next week, where I'm gonna cover batch making multiple smoothies and show you guys how to air seal them and throw them in your freezer so they're ready to go. We'll do that next week for sure. All right, we need to blend this up. So you know how it goes. A little TV timeout while we blend. So pretty. Can you see that red color? Again, totally natural, all from those beets. And you guys, beets are also just loaded with vitamins and nutrients. And it's kind of the cool thing about beets is they're fairly low in calorie, right? Low in calories, but high in nutrition density. So that's the kind of vegetable or produce or anything that we're using when it comes to cooking and making food for ourselves. We want them to be obviously within that calorie bracket that they're in. We want them to be loaded with vitamins and nutrients, both macro and micronutrients, so that we're getting the most of the calories that we're taking in. You guys know the difference. There is a big difference between something that has calories but has absolutely no nutritional value. I call those treats in my world. And then of course what we want to fuel our body with on a day-to-day basis, and those are calories that are extremely nutritionally dense and loaded with all sorts of macro and micronutrients so that it helps you to stay healthy and strong. So you guys, hold on, if you're just jumping on, Red Velvet Smoothie, you guys. I made mine with a block of tofu instead of that mascarpone cheese. You guys, again, just beets, cacao powder, protein powder, ice. We've got a little bit of that balsamic vinegar in there. And then again, if you eat dairy, you're gonna put a tablespoon of mascarpone cheese. If you're non-dairy like me, you're gonna use tofu as a replacement. And you guys, it tastes like a red velvet cupcake in a cup. And even better, it's a treat without the lack of nutrients. We got a loaded shake here with protein. It's got potassium in it from all those beets. You guys, it's also got all vitamins from top to bottom because of the vegetables that are in here as well. So you know what? I will post the macros, but always know you can click right over to the Good Clean Eats website, not only get this recipe, easy peasy, print it out, single serving, and it'll tell you all the macro and micronutrient data so that you know how you're fueling your body. All right, we've got a smoothie. I'm gonna sip on this while we start to whip together our beet burgers. Yes, if you're just logging in, that's what we're making up today on the Good Clean Eats kitchen. We're gonna whip up some beet burgers. Now, I've had these before, but if you're just jumping on now, I mentioned I have never made them here in the Good Clean Eats kitchen. So today, You're gonna have to bear with me. Let's see how this goes. I think it's gonna go well though. We've got all the right ingredients. So you're actually going to need about 1/2 cup of shredded beets, not cooked, okay? So we're gonna shred those up here in a second together. You're gonna also use about 1/2 cup of red onion, 1/2 cup of mushrooms, 1/2 cup, yes, there's a theme here. I'm only making 4 burgers. 1/2 cup of quinoa. Now I chose to use the tricolored quinoa. This is 1/2 cup of cooked tricolored quinoa. You need some walnuts. This is about 1/4 cup of walnuts. Again, we're gonna chop those up. And then seasoning wise, you guys know these are a favorite in my world. We've got some chili powder, some cumin, some paprika for that smokiness, and of course, salt and pepper. So right away, we need to start shredding up the beets so that those can go into our burger mixture. While we're doing that, you guys, I promised you that we were gonna talk a little bit today about meal prep. So as you're logging in and jumping on and we're covering this recipe, tell me, drop me a comment below if you can. Let me know, why do you struggle? What do you think it is that you struggle most with when it comes to meal prep? Is it figuring out ideas for meals to make? Is it that you feel like you're prepping stuff and then you're not eating it and it's going to waste? Drop me a note, let me know, because I want to talk with you guys a little bit more about that. All right, it's gonna get loud for just a second. We are gonna use my Ninja food processor, you guys, and I've just got that disc on there that's gonna shred these up. So let's do that quickly. Y'all, I love beets, but I get my fingers all crazy and red. We got stuck. All right. Boom. All right, and just like that, we have got our beets shredded up and ready to go. I love the color. You guys know I'm a color girl. Anything that, of course, that's why I love vegetables, right? It adds so much beautiful color to any recipe that you're making. Now, I need to get those beets out of there. Now that's about, I would probably say about 1/2 cup to 1 cup of shredded beets. I'm gonna show you what that looks like here in just a second. Perfect, just like that. And then we're gonna take that disc out from my blender, and now we're gonna put in our food processing wand. So we've got that in there. Guess what? Now we just need to start adding everything else into the food processor. It's gonna get it all mixed together for us. And here's the cool thing, no eggs in this one. So this is a totally vegan recipe that you guys can make at home. And even if you're not plant-based, I promise you, you're gonna love it as well. All right, so we have our blender in there. We're gonna throw our quinoa right away into the blender. I'm gonna take that 1/4 cup of walnuts, 1/4 cup of walnuts. I'm adding those in there. Now, I'm just gonna take a second to pulse, to chop those walnuts down before we add anything else into this blender. All right, so the food processor, now again, I'm just gonna pulse it. You want those walnuts to really be bite-sized, almost like little ground meat from a consistency standpoint. If you guys have never tried, there is a place here in Grand Rapids. I will drop the link in the comments later. They make vegan plant-based meats, and you guys, they're not a ton of tofu or soy in them. They actually make a lot of their meats with nuts, which is kind of cool. All right, we got those chopped down. Now those are in there, and you guys can kind of see. We'll chop them down a little bit more as we go. Now, we need a binding agent. So in our world, and it also is gonna add a little bit more protein, we're gonna actually use some either black beans by choice or white beans. I'm using white beans, and we're doing 8 ounces. Sorry, I've got a smaller cup here. So we're doing 8 ounces or 1/2 a can of those white beans. They should have been drained and rinsed really, really well. So we've got those in there now. We've got the quinoa in there. We've got those walnuts in there chopped up. I'm gonna also now add in our beets right in there. Boom, 1 container. Now, I'm also gonna add in those mushrooms, but I'm gonna take them, I'm just gonna cut them down for just a second. We're just gonna chop them, break them up just a teeny little bit before we start to mix everything together. And again, this is gonna chop those mushrooms down. All of these little ingredients, one, add more vegetables, which I love, but two, they're gonna add that texture that's necessary and that binding agent that's necessary for these burgers to be really, really, really delicious. All right, one last thing that we need to add in, and you guys know I love me some garlic and or onions. In this case, we're using red onions in our burgers instead of garlic. You could totally use garlic though. I think it would be really delicious with these. Thanks for jumping on, you guys. I see lots of familiar faces. Hey, Jen. Hey, Christy. I saw Nicole earlier. Again, if you guys are just jumping on now, we made a delicious red velvet smoothie. It tastes just like a red velvet cupcake, you guys, but it's made with fresh beets. And then we also are right now putting all the ingredients together to whip up our black bean beet burgers. Instead, we're making them with white beans, but either way, it's a beet bean burger, you guys, and it is loaded with veggies, loaded with plant-based protein, and is super yummy. Now, before I add in my seasonings and spices, right, that is our 5th ingredient when it comes to our foundation 5, which you guys hear me talk a lot about, and that foundation 5 is having protein, right? So our protein in this particular case are those beans and or quinoa. They also, it kind of is a double-edged sword when it comes to vegan world. That second is a healthy fat. We're gonna put just a dash of extra virgin olive oil in here. Boom, boom. That is our healthy fat. Second or third is gonna be a starchy carbohydrate. Again, in vegan world, a lot of times our starchy carbohydrate and our protein are the same source. So we already have that in there. We've got that starchy carbohydrate piece coming from those beans and that quinoa. And then of course, number 4 is going to be veggies, 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 all right? Non-starchy veggies like those mushrooms and the beets. All right, we've got them in here. We just need to quick pulse this and mix it together so that we get a nice consistency, kind of like probably a hamburger consistency, you guys. It looks so pretty. Look at that. All right, so I've got that going. We're gonna still mix it a little bit longer, but before we do that, we need to add in our 5th ingredient for any Fabulous 5, right, or our foundational 5, and that's gonna be the seasonings and spices that make this delicious and just add that extra something that makes everybody wanna come back for more. So we are gonna use some chili powder. So again, you guys, if you're measuring this out, it's about a 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder for the recipe of 4. Sorry, my cap is not on. I go through chili powder like it's no one's business here. Oops, try and get that open. And then we're gonna use the same measurement, a 1/4 teaspoon of that cumin. And then one last thing, we've got about just less than a 1/4 teaspoon of that paprika to add that smokiness in. Now, if you didn't see, I actually turned my little griddle on. I'm gonna cook these, guys, not solely on the griddle, because on the griddle with about 3 minutes on each side, it's gonna have a good foundation. They're gonna firm up, but I like my burgers to be really firm. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sear on both sides for about 2 minutes. Then I'm actually popping them into the air fryer. You could also pop them into your oven, let them bake down for another 30 minutes, and they will be perfect from a texture and firmness standpoint. They'll hold up just like a burger does. All right, so we put that chili powder in there. I'm putting, again, that 1/4 teaspoon of cumin, and then about just under a 1/4 teaspoon of, woo, smell the paprika, right? It has that nice little smoky scent. And then I'm gonna just douse this a little bit This is freshly grated pepper and a little bit of Himalayan sea salt. All right, friends, let's mix it up the rest of the way. You guys, I can't wait. Now, all right, I'll turn that loudness off and I'm gonna wipe down my board here. Here's the deal. I am gonna have my smoothie for my lunch today. Again, if I look back at the specifics to the details, I don't personally count calories. I really look at, again, my foundational 5 and making sure that everything that I'm eating, every meal that I'm eating is well balanced with that foundational 5. And this smoothie has all the protein, it's got veggies, it's got that healthy fat in there, and so it has everything I need to be able to fuel me for a couple of hours until I eat next. So I'm gonna have these beet burgers for dinner tonight on top of a salad with mixed greens, shredded carrots, some radishes. Don't worry, I'll take a picture later. So, all right, we need to get these beet burgers all ready to go. So we don't wanna mess up any other containers. We don't need to do that, right? So I'm just taking it, took my little thing out. I need to pull the sleeves up, all right? And we are going to quickly plate these up. Now, if you want them to cook up quicker, just like with a burger, right? You're gonna make them just a little thinner, but here's the deal. You can see, right, as I'm doing it in my hand, it literally, it comes together just like a burger would. You guys, I can't wait for this. So again, if you're just jumping on now, you can find this recipe on the Good Clean Eats website at www.goodcleaneats.com. It'll not only give you the recipe, ingredients, and details, you can adjust how many servings that you wanna make. So if you only wanna make 4 servings, it will tell you exactly what you need for that. And it also will tell you all of the macro and micronutrition details if you are an individual that tracks that macro information as it relates to your health and weight loss journey. All right, I've got those coming together. Now, I'm gonna quickly rinse my hands. All right, we just need now to go over, and I'm just gonna put a teeny little bit of that olive oil onto my skillet. I tend to do this. I'll take it, I put that a little bit on, and I'm just gonna smear it around for a second. All right, it is ready to go for me. Now again, I'm gonna cook these off later. I'll show you that in a second in the air fryer. But for the time being, I'm taking the 4 patties I've got. I could have probably made them a little bit bigger because again, I have plenty of this mixture here. So I'm gonna put those and I'm gonna sear them on each side for about 2 minutes, and then we're gonna throw them in the air fryer for about 20 minutes to cook them the rest of the way so that they get the firmness and texture that I like out of my burger. All right. So you can see I've got them on there. Oh, they look so pretty. I want to take a picture. All right, so we're going to set the rest of this aside and we're going to focus in on that dressing that I'm going to use a little later with what? Some more beets, you guys, of course. All right, so as I'm doing that, I need to drink my smoothie, right? Because it's so good. So here's the deal. We haven't talked a whole lot yet about meal prep. And so I just want to talk with you guys for a second about what we talk about as the foundational 5. Now, for my clients, we talk all the time about where or how many different types of macronutrients, and we really don't even talk about macros. We just talk about it just like we do the foundational 5. We talk about it in terms of starchy carbohydrates, non-starchy carbohydrates, i.e. vegetables, starchy carbohydrates as it relates to tortilla chips, tortillas, beans, quinoa, brown rice, those types of things are those starchy carbohydrates. We talk about how many servings of protein they should be taking in a day. Now, you didn't hear me say how many grams of protein. We talk about how many servings of protein in terms of 4-ounce servings. And again, these are things that I work with not only my one-on-one clients with, but my group clients with as well. And then of course, we talk about healthy fats, how many of those you should be taking in, because that is something you do need to be aware of and cognizant of. And then last but not least, how to take those 4 core ingredients and make them super yummy by that 5th ingredient. And that 5th ingredient is kind of that flavor factor, you guys. It's how you take a bunch of different ingredients and you're able to mix and match them throughout the week and be able to change the type of flavor that goes with them. That flavor factor can come in the forms of seasonings. Again, maybe you want something that has a Greek flair to it, so you're gonna use more dill and you're gonna really use garlic and those types of things. Or it could come in forms of sauces that you make. Sometimes the barbecue sauce, for instance, that I make from scratch. That's an example of that flavor factor that's gonna take all of those macronutrients and turn them into a delicious, well-balanced meal, all right? So I'm gonna take a look at these and flip them so I don't forget. All right, starting to get a little brown. I could probably leave those on for a second longer. All right, so when it comes to meal prep, it makes it easy when you think of it in terms of, again, protein, starchy carbohydrate, healthy fat, and flavor factor. So what I do immediately before I plan anything for the week or even start to prep is I immediately go shopping in my kitchen, in my freezer, in my pantry, and I look to see for sure what proteins do I want to use and what proteins do I already have on hand. Why go out and spend money buying something if you already have stuff in your kitchen? Use that. The biggest way that people spend more money when it comes to eating at home and eating healthier is because they don't use what they have. They go out and buy more stuff that they don't need, you guys. So that is hint number 1, is go shopping first in your kitchen or in your pantry for 1, those proteins, and 2, those starchy carbohydrates. Those starchy carbohydrates, even from a vegetable standpoint, like sweet potatoes, those tend to be items that tend to last longer. They're not gonna go bad in a week because because of the starch that's in them, they tend to preserve a little bit longer. Again, brown rice, quinoa, these are the types of things. Beans, they should be things that you have in that pantry. And of course, you're always gonna spend less money when you buy proteins in larger volumes. So I highly recommend, again, stock up, load that freezer up with fresh proteins so that you can have those ready to go. And when you're meal planning, look first there. That's where you go shopping first. Then you'll start to look at, all right, what kinds of vegetables do I wanna use in this week's recipes? So I use a lot of times, as you saw today, right? We took 3 recipes, you guys, and they're gonna be 3 totally different recipes, but 3 things that I could make with beets, but they can taste totally different depending on that flavor factor that you're gonna add in. I do the same thing all the time, you guys, with zucchini, cauliflower. I mean, the list goes on. So again, first, shop in your kitchen. Second, once you know what you've got on hand, that's when you start to pull together that not only shopping list, but that list of recipes. You can go on our website while you're planning your week. And the cool thing is with our website is on the website, you can go in there and say there's a specific vegetable you've been craving. You can go in and search based on that vegetable as an ingredient. You can search the ingredients based on that vegetable and it's gonna pull up a list of recipes that use that specific ingredient. If you really know that your base is chicken, your protein, but you don't really care or know what vegetables you wanna use, then go in and do that. Search by chicken and it's gonna give you a list of whole food balanced recipes that are gonna be veggie loaded as well, and they're gonna hit this foundational 5, and you're gonna get that combination in any recipe you find on the Good Clean Eats website. All right, those are cooking up. I need to put them into the air fryer in a second, but I need my dressing for tonight. And you guys know I only do dressings fresh, fresh, fresh. So we are actually going to pull out my Vitamix. All right, now, again, for this dressing, unlike most dressings, you can make in just a mixer and shake it up in your hand, but this one has fresh beets in it, so I really need that Vitamix, or you really need a food processor for this particular recipe, okay? I'm gonna take and I'm gonna dice up that beet into small little squares so that it really combines and breaks down when I stick it in the Vitamix or if you stick it in the food processor. I did not cook this beet. This is raw beet. It has been, took the outside off, and now we're gonna take it, boom, and pop it in to our Vitamix. Now, all we need are a couple of cool things. We need some apple cider vinegar. Don't worry, those can cook forever on there and they're not gonna get overdone, you guys, or dried out. The moisture that's in those beets really brings that moisture factor. So this is not something that's gonna dry out super quickly, even though it's got quinoa in there. All right, so we've got that beet in there. Now, you guys, for that beet, it's one small beet, peeled, cut, and diced into small chunks. We're gonna use 1 tablespoon of honey. So as you guys know, honey's kind of ish our flavor factor here. With any dressing, we're gonna add in, again, that acidity as well that we need. So we've got our beet, we've got our honey. We're gonna actually throw in 2 teaspoons, so just 2 little cap tops of apple cider vinegar. Now, we also need lemon for this one. And then we're also gonna use a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, which is that fat content that we need in any dressing. I'm taking those beet burgers, and you guys can see, I think you can see, they're holding up, right? They're not falling apart. They're holding up perfectly. I'm gonna take those for a second, turn my skillet off, and I'm gonna throw these in the air fryer so we can finish up our dressing. In they go, bam, all set, my friends. All right, perfect. Now, so we've got the honey in there. We've got the fresh, uncooked beets diced up nice and small, and we've got that 2 teaspoons for that acidity for the dressing of apple cider vinegar. Now, we're also gonna put in here some lemon, the juice from a half a lemon. So I saw a trick today and I figured, why not try it? We're trying new things today. Why not try it here? So they say you take a whole lemon, don't cut it in half, roll it so that it gets nice, and as you can see, like you can push in it, you can feel the juices moving around. And then you take a little kebab stick and you stick it in the little hole down here, supposedly. We'll see if it works, I don't know. All right, so we're sticking it in. Ooh, it's kind of working, I think. And then watch. And we're getting the juice out with no seeds, you guys. It's freaking working, I can't believe it. How cool is that? All right, you found it here, you saw it here. How do you squeeze a lemon without the seeds? That is how. You roll it around, you kebab skewer it in that bottom portion, and then take that skewer out and squeeze, and you instantly have lemon juice, fresh. All right, that's it. Now we need salt and pepper. And then, supposedly, I've never made this recipe before. You guys are going through it with me. We're gonna take it. Oh, we need extra virgin olive oil. Almost forgot. Important healthy fat standpoint. You are using, now this says, it's way too much olive oil in my world, so we're gonna use a 1/4 cup of olive oil. That's 4 tablespoons. Now this is making a larger number of servings. Now I also, with that, just added a 1/2 cup of water. So I've got a 1/4 cup of olive oil, 1/2 cup of water. And now I'm gonna take it. That's gonna give that, you can see it down there. Let's mix it up. It's so pretty. I do this all the time. I literally lifted my little thing and went like this to taste it while it was mixing up. Holy crap, it's so good. It's so freaking good. And look how pretty it is. All right, no, actually it doesn't look bad. Let me quick grab my container. I'm gonna pour it into a little container, you guys. Oh my God, it's beautiful. Seriously, I can't with this. Look how freaking pretty it is. I wish you guys could literally taste this and smell this right now. So excited to put it on top of this salad with our beet burgers. I need to finish up my beet smoothie, right? My actually red velvet smoothie that has beets, chocolate, tofu for me. And you guys, make sure to check back. I'll post the link for all of these recipes to our website, and I'll also post a picture of the end product so you guys can see what this looks like. Let me know if you try this recipe. Super simple and easy, literally one container in the food processor for those burgers. We put all those ingredients in there. Look how quick and easy that was actually to get those done. It's gonna be perfect. Now, you could absolutely eat this on a whole wheat bun or something like that, but hey, you know me, I love my salads, and with this delicious salad dressing going on top of that beet burger with salad, I can't wait. It's not only gonna be beautiful, I know it's gonna be delicious as well. Thanks again for joining, you guys. I will see you next week here in the Good Clean Eats kitchen. Make sure to like or follow so that you are notified every time we go live with a cooking demonstration or anything here at the Good Clean Eats kitchen. I can't wait to see you next week. Bye, y'all.